The European Parliament will vote today on a free trade deal with Canada. The CETA deal, if approved, could apply provisionally from as early as April 2017. Well, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to make the case for the agreement in a speech this Thursday. That deal, of course, nearly derailed by the Belgian region of Wallonia, and it still needs the approval of MEPs before it can enter into force. Well, one prominent MP opposed to the measure is the Greens' Philippe Lamberts, who joins us now from Strasbourg. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on France 24 this morning, Monsieur Lamberts.
My pleasure.
First of all, can you just tell me, why are you opposed to this deal?
Well, because this is a trade deal whose DNA is tailor-made for the interest of big multinationals. By the way, it's no chance that it's mostly the trade federation, so both Business Europe in the US and the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, who have been pushing like mad for this treaty. So no surprise that the output of the treaty suits their needs. Basically, how should I say, it basically shackles the democracies on both sides of the ocean to the interests of these multinationals. And of course, the key provision of that treaty that embodies that are these arbitration tribunals, which allow multinationals to sue governments at local, regional, national level if what governments do may harm their vested interests. But it's a bit strange, by the way, that these tribunals, which normally shouldn't be needed in rule of law states like Canada or the 28 member states, have been implemented, well, will be implemented, tribunals that are not accessible, for instance, to governments whose interests might have been breached by the same multinationals. It's not accessible to consumer unions, for instance. It's a one-way street allowing big business to defend its cause. And for that reason, because the DNA of this treaty is running counter basically the basic rules of democracy, that we oppose this deal.
But you talk about what the multinationals are getting out of this deal, but there's also something in it for the nation states themselves, certainly something in it for the EU. We understand this treaty will create jobs, which I'm sure you'll agree are vital, particularly given the economic climate here in France.
Who says that? I mean, who says that are basically economists who are running mathematical models, and I'm an engineer in applied mathematics. I know what I'm talking about. These models pretend modeling society, and then they predict that growth will come out of that. By the way, what they predict is 0.002% additional growth, which is far beyond the error margin of these models. But you know what? These models are the same ones used to predict growth the next quarter. And, well, more often than not, they fall completely off the mark. And therefore, don't trust what they tell you. That some companies will benefit, it's obvious. For instance, Canada will open its public procurement to European multinationals. So, of course, for multinationals like Veolia, that provides an additional market opportunity, obviously. But then again, it's also a game where there are losers. And then again, you should ask yourself the question, why is it that the majority of British citizens have voted for Brexit? Why is it that not a majority, but at least the Electoral College has elected Donald Trump as President of the United States? Actually, there are increasingly millions of left-behinds due to the neoliberal kind of globalization that we have at the moment. And actually, those left-behinds are now speaking up. And we should pay attention to that. And the answer of the European Union is more of the same.
And just quickly, Monsieur Lamberts, these are all very good questions. One final question, though. What is the alternative to this? I mean, surely the EU needs all the friends it can get, particularly in this new post-Trump reality where the new US president wants to tear up trade deals as well. What's the alternative?
Well, it is not because... Well, the alternative is negotiating other sorts of trade deals. Just imagine that we would negotiate with Canada a trade deal which says basically the most ambitious norm, be it Canadian or European, becomes the norm for the whole Canada-EU market. That would be a trade deal we would go for. But this is not the basis of the treaty that has been negotiated. And don't forget, this is Stephen Harper's treaty. It is not Justin Trudeau's treaty. I don't understand why this guy just takes over the heritage of a prime minister that he despised, actually.
OK, thank you so much for that. We have run out of time, but it's been good talking to you. Monsieur Philippe Lamberts, MEP with the Greens in the European Parliament, who will be voting against that CETA trade deal. Continued coverage